Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Then welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Well, I humbly apologize for how sporadic these episodes are right now, but the good news is it's because I'm very focused on developing an all-new website for www.expansionmastery.com. Along with that, I have completed a revised and expanded edition of my very popular ebook, Reinventing Yourself Through Realignment. So that will be available on the website. And in addition to that, I am developing some new programs. So these are going to be audio programs that will be available for you to download right from the website. All of this will be available at the new Expansion Mastery store. So make sure and check that out. But the new website will be launching within the next week or two, and then everything will get back to normal with the podcast episodes. So I thank you for your patience and your continued support. I really hope that you enjoy the new website. I've enjoyed learning to create it and get it up. It's a lot cleaner. It's nicer. It's more simple. It's got some nice animation to some of the graphics and things. This is just an all-around much better website. Much easier to navigate. It doesn't overwhelm you or overstimulate you as much as the other one was doing. Plus, it gives us the ability to accept additional payments such as PayPal. And so that makes life easier for all of us. And like I said, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's worth the wait. And please make sure that you go there and check it out. There are some new blog articles that are being posted on there as well. So as you can see, I've been very busy developing content for the new website. So you can get the latest updates on the new website at my Facebook author page, which is at Robert D. Bessler, or right here on these podcast shows. So when that is released, please make sure you go there, leave me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear what you think. Plus, if there's any issue with anything on the website, something doesn't come up, something doesn't work right, do not hesitate to contact me immediately, and I will do my very best to fix it right then and there. And I would encourage you to visit the website on a regular basis because I'm going to be adding all new audio and some video programs on there as soon as they are completed. So there's going to be a continuous flow of new material available for you that I think you're really going to like, and I think that it's going to offer some solutions and guidance to those problems that we face when engaging in spiritual practices. And I'll use that as a segue into the episode today, because I keep receiving feedback from people saying that it's so difficult to bring their mind to a point of stillness, and that they just can't quiet it down at all. They can't enjoy the silence. They actually, some people are fearing the silence. And this is a huge issue, and it's one that's present no matter what when we're dealing with meditative practices and meditation. To still the mind and to bring it down to a point where we can enjoy some silence is very difficult because the mind continues to wander. And this is what I would like to address today, because I know a lot of people are trying to engage in specific spiritual practices, yet they're finding it totally impossible to accomplish these things because their mind will simply not stay put. It's wandering all over the place all the time. They can hold it for a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but when it comes to more than 5 minutes, now they're being greatly challenged. And what I've come to realize is that this is the problem. People get bored. Sitting there in stillness, in silence, is boring, at least to those who are trying. Those of us who are well-versed in going into the stillness and silence, we treasure it, right? We understand that it is like exhaling for the first time in a long time and truly being able to relax. But for many, as they engage the exercise, it becomes boring to them, no matter how hard they're trying. And I know there's some people out there that are trying very, very hard to engage these practices, and yet they cannot succeed with the practice, nor are they capable of succeeding at consistently engaging those practices. And it all comes down to the fact that the mind becomes bored doing it. So I'd like to take a look at this and see if we could solve this problem. The reason that the mind becomes bored is because the mind entertains itself on such a regular basis with all of its own rampant thoughts that we become a bit addicted to those thoughts. We become addicted to all of that chatter going on in our head. We don't consciously understand this. We don't realize it maybe, but it is happening nonetheless, this type of addiction. So then as soon as we try to slow that down a little bit and get a little bit of relief, well, the mind doesn't like that. It wants that chatter. It wants that sort of fix again. Now, on top of that, we also have all of the external distraction. We have all of the things, the entertainment that is out there. And I've been observing an incredibly direct correlation between those who are addicted to entertainment and distraction and those who have a difficult time actually engaging practices that include focusing the mind and developing some sort of silence of the mind or stillness to the mind in order to focus on a particular thing. Even people that are trying to work with their breath, they're finding that I can't even use the breath in these practices because my mind still wanders. Why? Because the breath is an autonomic nervous system process. In other words, under normal circumstances, we're not really aware that we're even breathing. It's just doing it. Therefore, again, the mind perceives it as boring. It's boring. And they can't use this. Now, we understand that, we do this to ourselves. We create this difficulty within ourselves, within our own mind. It's not our fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's how the mind works. It's what it does. However, all of this addiction to entertainment and to distraction, well, that is on us. That's our fault. Now, yeah, it's being put in front of us, but we are making the choice to consume it. So it's our responsibility here. I've been finding also that those who go to a lot of movies or always have to be watching something, especially on YouTube, these short clips or shows, or if they have to entertain themselves, they have to have some sort of visual stimulation in front of themselves all the time. The same goes for video games. These people that binge play video games, right? They have to play it for hours, hours and hours on end, or even days and things. that is what has put your mind in such a state. It weakens the very fabric of the mind, and it causes an addiction. And so then, in order to engage these spiritual practices, you are faced with a dual addiction, an addiction to your own rampant thoughts, as well as an addiction to all of the entertainment that is out there that you are constantly placing in front of you. Because, see, as the mind gets used to being overstimulated, it craves not just stimulation, but an ever-increasing sense of overstimulation. And when this is the case, taking that down to silence or to even just to focus on one thing, wow, now we are faced with an incredible challenge. And I've found over the past 2 decades or 3 decades that through my own practices, working with my own mind, and as well as helping others, that when our mind is undisciplined, we become bored very easy. You might remember as a child being bored if you didn't have anything to do. I can't figure out anything to do, I'm bored, right? We hear that out of children today. And we said it as children ourselves. I know I did. I would imagine it was a pretty common thing. But then you find something to do, right? So you grab something, you do something, and then you're no longer bored. And the same thing is happening to people as an adult. They don't outgrow this. They just find different things to occupy their mind, to satisfy the addiction to the overstimulation. Now, of course, we have the constant overstimulation of our cell phones. We have people texting us, emailing us. We're surfing Facebook and Twitter and everything else under the sun, right? So you're flipping from one to another. I used to see this in people where they would have like 5, 6, 8 different screens up on their computer anytime they were on the computer, and they're bouncing from thing to thing, going through all of this different stuff. It's no wonder that the mind has become overstimulated and addicted to that overstimulation. And this is one of the reasons that things like forest bathing have become increasingly popular. I know it's very popular out here in the Bay Area, where you turn your cell phone off, you get rid of any tech. Hey, you leave it in the car, you leave it at home, at least you turn it off. Okay, not just silence it so it buzzes. Turn it off. Get rid of it and walk through the woods. Go for a hike through the woods. Go through a hike with a mountain. And the thing is this: I'm not talking about a bike ride or a motorcycle ride, or a walk where you actually got your feet on the ground. You're walking along, not on a road, just in the woods, maybe a little path or something, but out in the wilderness a little bit. You're walking around, you're interacting with nature. And this is one of the main points where people go wrong, is they make sure they take other people with them as a distraction for more stimulation. So a lot of times, right, the people are going for a hike up the mountain, and people are there, they're chattering so much back and forth, and they're talking so fast as they're hiking up the mountain. They're not even present in what's going on. See, they're still engaging in overstimulation and being distracted from what they're doing. In order for these things to work and help you reset the mind and help you to get free from this sort of addiction, you want to be silent. Don't talk. And if you're advanced enough and capable enough to allow the mind to go into a state of silence as you're walking through the woods, fantastic, do that. But I'm assuming here, at least for the sake of this lesson, that maybe you're not quite there yet. And that's fine. So if we can't silence the mind as we walk out in nature, then at least silence our mouth. We can at least remain quiet, refrain from speaking. This is a first step to walk and interact with nature while being silent. This is a first step of stillness if you can refrain from talking. If you pay attention a lot of times today, people are really good at speaking, but not listening, right? People want to talk. They want to hear themselves talk. Everybody's talking all the time, and they don't listen. And this is another reason why I say that learning to stop speaking is the first step to going into silence. We're having to dial it back and make it a little more simple here in order to address these addictions. You still have something to occupy yourself with, right? To look at the trees and, maybe some animals or whatever's going on in the area of forest that you're walking in, or mountain or whatever, even if you just take a canoe or a kayak out on the lake or out on the ocean and just remain quiet. Even if you have somebody with you, remain quiet. Just be with the experience. See, this will help you to do that. And then from there, you can start to bring the practices back into play and work on strengthening the mind so that it is capable of staying in place. It is disciplined enough, because this is what it comes down to, folks, is our mind is not disciplined enough to engage the practices. The practices are not difficult. They're not that hard. But if our mind is severely undisciplined, then they appear to be very difficult to us. If my mind is weak, it is consumed with the addiction of overstimulation, the need to be entertained all the time, then there's a problem that I've got to address. It's like any other addiction, any other problem. And until I address that, nothing good is gonna happen. I won't be able to succeed at anything that requires the disciplined mind. So this is the first thing. So spend some time, walk, even if you don't go out in the forest, walk around your backyard, but be still, don't talk. And try to lessen the amount of entertainment that you need in front of you. If you pay attention, you'll probably notice that you crave it, right? Next time you go to pick up that computer and pop up YouTube so you can watch a whole bunch of videos, pay attention to the fact that you're doing it. And then try to reflect on why, because you're going to find that it's an addictive behavior. Chances are you will discover that things that we deem normal activities, such as playing around on the phone and watching Netflix and YouTube and all these other things, you'll find that they have become addictive. They aren't just things we do anymore. We will start to recognize a sense of addiction for these behaviors. So we'll need to stop giving in to the distractions in favor of staying more present in what we're doing. So here are a couple things that I would have you do to help kind of prepare you for such spiritual practices, meditative practices, as trying to quiet the mind, bring the thoughts to a point of stillness, being able to bring the mind and body into this point of stillness. Here are a few tips, and I hope this helps. One, we want to be able to pay attention. Next time we're conversing with someone, interacting with them verbally this way, what we want to do is to notice if we tend to be dominating the conversation, and when we do, step back from that. Take a deep breath and ask them a question, and then sit back and be quiet and actually listen. Don't allow your mind to wander. Actually truly listen to what the person is saying. Engage what they are saying. Engage the conversation. This is one thing that will start to help you. Another thing is, when you go out somewhere, go outdoors and interact with nature. And when you do, leave all the tech behind. Yeah, I know. This is already losing a lot of people. I know, but this is what we have to do. And I know this troubles people, and I know this is where people start to turn the show off, right? And I understand, but nobody is hated more than the person who speaks the truth. And I feel I'm sacrificing my own integrity and the integrity of spiritual traditions, if I try and candy coat it or water it down or make it some little foofy thing for you in order to satisfy the ego, to make it easy, to make you believe that you're doing something when in reality you're really not, I've accepted it as my duty to share what is real and truthful with you in a way that you can attain actual real results. So hopefully you can appreciate that. If not, then, there's a lot of New Age stuff out there for you. But another thing that we want to do then is to stop speaking so much, right? Even when we're out in nature, we want to be quiet. If somebody else is with us, fine. But go out by yourself once in a while. You don't always need people around you. Go out by yourself. Just do it by yourself and don't interact with anyone. Just walk around in nature and be with nature. A third thing you can do is this. Pay attention. Because if you don't really understand that you have this mental addiction, this mental attachment happening to you, then you can't do anything about it. So I encourage you to pay very close attention the next time you get the urge to go to a movie or sit down in front of YouTube or whatever it happens to be. I don't know. Netflix, I guess, is a big thing now, right? I don't know. I don't have Netflix. I've never had it. I don't want it. But I understand, it's nice. There's a lot of stress in the world. It's nice to relieve that stress through entertainment. But we have to understand that it can become an addiction. I've done entire shows on this. So next time you go to sit down, you pull up that chair and you pop a soda or whatever you're drinking and you sit down and you call up YouTube. What I'd like you to do is stop. Before you call up any YouTube videos, before you call up the latest Netflix episodes to binge watch, stop. Stop yourself. Stop yourself. Even if you're making plans, I'm going to go to a movie today. Stop yourself and turn it off. Don't go to the movie. Instead, find something else to do. Start to engage one of the practices. Walk out in nature. Do something other than place entertainment in front of your face. Do something other than consume this entertainment that sucks the life out of us. And I challenge anyone out there to find someone who is on their deathbed that says, my one regret in life, I wish I would have watched more television. Right? How ridiculous does that sound? I wish I would have binge watched more Netflix episodes. I wish I would have watched all of that season of that show on YouTube. Right? Nobody does that because it's nothing. It's meaningless. It's a waste of our time and of our potential. We could be putting that to such good use. My wife and I have been spending a lot of time working on learning Italian. We learned to speak Japanese, Zonka, which is the Bhutanese language, Italian, Spanish. We work on several languages. We do this, right? Or we sit and we talk to each other. And we pose questions to each other. We get into some deep philosophical and spiritual conversations that are amazing. This is good quality time. And it's time of your life well spent. So this is my advice. If you are having trouble with even the most simple of spiritual or mental practices that require you to focus your mind and to allow that focus to stay there. Now, yes, it takes practice and it takes practice over a period of time, but you can still start engaging it with a degree of success that, and this is incredibly important, that is going to bring you some relief. See, it isn't just the practice for the sake of the practice or the outcome of the practice of being able to discipline the mind, being able to hold it on a fixed point, being able to bring it to stillness or silence. Even before all that, it's about offering you relief. And when you start to have the relief from all of that oversaturation, overstimulation of all of this tech and entertainment crap, wow, does it feel good. See, that's what's used to inspire you to continue on, is the fact that it feels so good to have some relief. The mind finally feels like it gets a break, and you get to feel like yourself a little bit, even if it's just for a moment. You want to go back and do it again and again and make it last longer and longer. This is what's important. Now, people could argue that, well, there's no value in sitting there and having the mind be still any more than there is in watching some movie or something, right? Wrong. When you're engaged in watching a movie, your life is fleeting by, and there's nothing of value taking place. When you are engaged in a meditative practice or meditation itself, and you are in the state of stillness, you are in a state of relaxed being. This is when you get to peer upon your true face, hear your true voice, and get a glimpse of what is real and what is true in the universe. I don't know about you, but I find that to be extremely valuable and time very, very well spent. So if you find yourself wrestling with these simple practices, I would recommend these few easy exercises that I provided earlier in the program, in order to help you assess your situation and start to work with things a little more simply and work your way up to the practice. So this would be considered like a pre-practice, right? So a warm-up, but it's necessary. Sometimes if we have become addicted to entertainment and to overstimulation, then we have to kick that addiction. We have to do things to help us get past it and not just be hard on ourselves, right? With, I'm going to use willpower and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to force it. Because let's face it, it's not going to work. It works for a very small percentage of people, and it works in a very small percentage of the time. And it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be that big of a struggle for us to engage these practices. So please, take a look at those things, see if that helps you. And then once you can free yourself from this mental addiction of overstimulation, I think you're going to be far better off and ready for the actual mental and spiritual meditative practices. Please make sure and visit us on social media. You can visit my Facebook page at Robert D. Bessler. I post all the updated things there. I actually posted a little preview of what the new website main page is going to look like. Check it out. Very clean, very nice, very beautiful photography being used for this thing. And check it out. Also, support us, the like, the subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel. We could definitely use a lot of subscribes on the YouTube channel. I still plan on putting some video lessons, free video lessons on YouTube for you through that channel. So you might want to subscribe to that and be ready to check it out. Plus the podcast comes through there, so it's real easy to get. And just do all that stuff on social media, the likes and the comments and the subscribes and all of those things that support what I'm doing here. And then, of course, make sure that you share these podcasts. Share the show with as many people as you can and try to help them, tell them about it. Try and help them with things. Pay attention to other people in your life. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's easier to notice our flaws as we look at other people, but that happens. So we can use that not as a form of judgment upon them, but as a way to recognize what's going on within ourselves. All right. And very soon, a week or two, the new website will be operational. Please make sure you go and visit www.expansionmastery.com. The same URL, but an all-new awesome website. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in all of your practices and your life. Take care.